G3572.
Okay, G3572. Assalamu alaikum.
Walaikum assalam.
Assalamu alaikum. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Would you like to do the opening dua for us?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم رب اشرح لي صدري ويسر لي أمري. Lord, expand my mind and make my task easy for me. Surah Taha, verse 26 to 27.
And Jazakallah G3572. That was really well read. Jazakallah.
About your voice is really low. Sorry.
Okay, let me see if I can help that. Is that better?
Little better, but still.
Okay, can the students, if you can hear me, if you could put your hands up if you can hear me.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, I hope you can hear me. I'll try to speak louder. And ST, if you can hear me.
Yes, I can hear you.
Is that okay? I'll try to speak louder. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can all the students just keep yourself muted for now? And when I ask you to come to the mic, then inshallah we'll give you a go to speak, okay? Jazakallah. Okay, so on to the lesson for today. So today's lesson is lesson number 19. Today's date is the 13th of June, 2022. Today we'll be doing Surah Ar-Rahman, verses 32 to 33. And hopefully you will all have done your homework and revised the previous lessons of the verses 1 to 31, inshallah. Okay, so just quickly, so we're just going to go through the class etiquettes quickly. I'm sure all of you are aware. I'm just going to go through them quickly. So you should all have done ablution, which is wudu. You should be wearing clean clothes. Your head should be covered. You should be sitting in a quiet place. Ideally, you should have parental supervision, and you should have the correct ID. I can see some students still don't have correct IDs. Try to remedy that, because in that case, you won't be called to the mic, and it would be really good to ask you. Obviously, you're learning, so we'd like to ask you, like to give every student a chance. So if you could get your correct ID, so we can call you to the mics as well. Just confirm, can you hear me? ST, can you hear me?
Yes. Yes. G3523.
Okay, so right, so on to our knowledge quest. So G3523. Assalamu alaikum.
I can't open the mic.
Okay, that's fine. If we could choose another student.
Okay, I'm going to call G3519.
Okay, G3519. Assalamu alaikum.
Yeah, it's like I told you was swallowed by mistake.
Sorry, I didn't understand. What did you say?
I thought it's toilet, but I still know but I could have a try of the knowledge quest.
Okay, go ahead. So the question for the knowledge quest today is, how many times does wal al appear in Surah Ar-Rahman, verses 1 to 31? And what does it mean? So can you give me the answer to that, G3519?
I don't know what it means, but I think I know the answer.
Okay, go ahead and try.
3.
Okay, yeah. So, okay, that's one answer we've got from G3519. You say 3. So when we set a knowledge quest for you, it normally means that we're looking for a specific word or letter in the verses that you've been studying up to now. So this, from verses 1 to 31, we want you to see how many times wal al has appeared in the Holy Quran. And you should be able to find out what it means. So you should go online and try to find out what this means. That's what the knowledge quest is. Jazakallah G3519 for that. Can I have another student who gives me the answer for the knowledge quest, please?
G3580.
G3580. Assalamu alaikum.
Uh,
G3580.
no, I have to call another one.
Okay, before you go ahead,
G3512. Sorry?
can I just ask all of the students, could you not unmute yourselves until you're asked to unmute yourselves? Jazakallah. Okay, go ahead, ST.
Next one is going to be G3512.
G3512. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you today?
I'm good, alhamdulillah. How are you?
Good, alhamdulillah. So, did you do the knowledge quest?
Yes.
Okay, and how many times does the word wal ard appear in Surah Ar-Rahman in verses 1 to 31?
It appears 2 times.
Two
First,
times.
it appears in verse 11, and second, it appears in verse 30, and
Okay.
it means and earth.
MashaAllah. Okay, so that's a really good answer. So shall we check the answer to see if it's correct? And let's see if you got that right. So well done, G3512. That was very well researched. Yes, it appears twice. So once in verse 30, as you said, and once in verse 11. And yes, it means and the earth. So well done for that. Jazakallah G3512. I hope everybody else tried to research that as well, because it really helps in your learning to do the knowledge quest. So
Yes.
Jazakallah. I understand some of you can't hear clearly. I do understand that. As far as I can, I'm trying to be as loud as I can, and hopefully you'll be able to hear me better, inshallah. Okay, so on to the next part of our learning for today. So the verses we'll be learning for Hifz today are Surah Ar-Rahman, verses 32 to 33. I'll go through the Arabic and then I'll ask a student to go through the translation with me. I hope you can hear me. Okay, so I'll just recite this for you. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. Okay, Jazakallah, that's how we recite those verses. So can I have a student come to the mic to do the translation for me, please?
Yes, I'm going to invite G3519.
G3519, Assalamu alaikum. G3519. That was a really good attempt you made before. So that was a guess. Next time when the quest is raised, do try to look at the verses and see if you can find the word in the verses we've asked you to. Yes?
Yes.
Okay, well done. So do you want to go ahead with the translation for me?
Yes. In the name of Allah, the gracious, the merciful. Soon shall we attend to you. Oh yeah, 2 big groups. Which then of the favors of your Lord will you two deny?
Jazakallah, that was really well read. G3519. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Is it possible to call G3511 next? Because I think they're siblings as well.
Yes, that's fine. So we're going to go on to reciting before we do that, I will quickly read the split word translation myself, and then we'll go on to reciting the next part of this surah. So if you just wait, if I go ahead with this, then we can call the next student. Is that okay?
Yes,
Okay.
that's fine. Yeah.
Okay, so the split word translation for this is sanafrugu, which means soon shall we attend, lakum, to you, ayyuha, O you, athqalan, 2 big groups or powers. فَبِأَيِّ, which then, آلَاءِ, of the favors, رَبِّكُمَا, of your Lord, will you to تُكَذِّبَانِ, will you to deny. Okay, so all students, if you could just pay attention to this word here. So last time when we were studying this, when we were reciting it for a very short amount of time, this is Madul Kabir, which is the larger mud. And I would like all students to pay attention because this verse is repeated very often in this surah. And this mud needs to be quite long. So if all students who are reciting the verses today, if you could maintain that and remember that it's quite long. Even when you're doing your hifz, I'm sure you can remember because this verse is very often repeated. When you come to the ala, it has to be quite long, okay? Okay, so on to the recitation for today. So can I have a student for the recitation for the hifz today, please?
Yes, G3511.
G3511, Assalamu alaikum.
Oh, I can't find now. Sorry. I'm going to call G3577.
G3577, Assalamu alaikum. G3577, Assalamu alaikum. You're unmuted.
No, okay.
No, wait. Can we have another student?
G3572.
G3572.
Assalamu alaikum.
G3572, can you hear me?
Yeah,
Okay. Okay. Jazakallah. Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. How are you?
I'm fine. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, I'm well. So we're going to go through the hifz practice together today. Do you want to start with ta'awuz?
Okay. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Well done. That was really good reading. Okay, so in the first instance, so as I reminded you earlier, this is a mad kabir, is quite a long mud, and in this instance, I think you may have forgotten to elongate the word, and it has to be quite long. Do you want to try that again? Because in the second instance, you read it correctly, but it was slightly short, but you could still have prolonged it a bit more. But could you try this again? And with this la elongated quite for quite some time. Do you want to try that again?
Okay. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Well done. That was much better. Do you want to read the rest, and then we can see if you can read it correctly in the second instance as well.
سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Okay, well done. That was very good reading, and I see you've got a really good understanding of the recitation and the correct pronunciation of the Holy Quran as well. So well done, G3572. Keep it up. Jazakallah.
Jazakallah.
Okay, can I have another student for the hifz practice, please?
I'm going to call G3570.
G3570. G3570. Can we have another student?
Again. G3562. Oh,
Okay, that's G3570. Is
yes.
that correct?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yes.
Assalamu alaikum. Assalamu alaikum. Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, I am actually having mic problems today. So you're just going to have to bear with me. Hopefully you can hear me correctly, and inshallah we can carry on the lesson. So do you want to start with ta'awuz?
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان
Go ahead.
سنفرغ لكم أيها الثقلان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Okay, that was very, very well read. Okay, so I want to point something out to you. This mud here and this one here, do you know how long each of them are?
2 seconds.
Okay, this one is 2 seconds, so you're correct. That's an extra elongation, so that's a long vowel. And this one is for 2 seconds. But this one over here is for how many seconds? Do you know?
Up to 6 seconds.
Okay, so go ahead and try that again. So start from here and see if you can make a difference between them two. When you recited, there was not much difference between the elongation here and the elongation here. There has to be a distinction. So this is very long and this is just 2 seconds. Yeah, do you want to try that again?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Okay, so you've noticed a difference. So while you're reciting, this one's really long and this one is only 2 seconds. Just remember that, because that makes a difference in terms of the meaning of the word. And it's really important not to change the meaning of the word, because it is the word of the whole of Allah. So it's really important to maintain the elongation as well. But you read very well. Jazakallah G3570. Jazakallah. Okay, I think we'll now go on to the next part of our lesson, and I would like to listen to the homework hifz that you have all been doing. I'm going to quickly switch over. Right, okay. So can I have a student to the mic? Those of you who have learned, actually, if you could just put your hands up, and then I can have a student to the mic as well.
Would you like me to invite
Yes,
someone?
please, can I have a student?
Okay. G3560.
G3560. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
How are you?
I'm good, thank you. Alhamdulillah. How are you?
I'm well, thank you. Were you able to do your hifz? So,
Yeah, I've learned a bit, but not all of it.
so last time we listened to you, we listened to verse 7. And have you been able to learn some more from thereafter?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to go on from verse 7 and start with ta'awuz and tasmiyah, and then
Should I start from the beginning,
if
please?
you like, yes, you can start from the beginning if you like.
Yes, please.
Go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان. Sorry, my
That's okay. Go ahead. It's fine. I can hear you clearly. One najmu. Can you hear me? G5. Sorry, 1 second. 360. Assalamu alaikum. Sorry, G3560. Can you hear me? Okay, I think we've lost that student.
I think I'm trying to open her mic again,
Okay,
but it's
that's fine. We'll go to another student. We can come back and listen to him.
okay. Okay. I'm going to invite G3517.
G3517. Assalamu alaikum. G3517. Assalamu alaikum.
Can't
Okay.
open his mic again. So
Okay.
G3514.
G3514.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so G35, sorry, you're 514?
Yes. No, not 514, G3 517.
Assalamualaikum.
Oh, I think she's back.
Yes, okay. So what's happened is we've got two students unmuted. So can G3517 stay unmuted? And the other student, if you could mute yourself, and we'll come back to you in a minute. Okay, so G3517, Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamualaikum.
Okay, so the last time we listened to you, verse 19, have you recited verses from thereafter? Oh, memorized them, sorry.
I memorized a bit after, but I haven't done it till I'm supposed to.
Okay, so do you want to recite from that verse onwards?
Yes.
Okay, so start with Ta'uz.
Somewhere.
Start with Ta'uz, it's on screen.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان والهب ذو العصف والريحان.
That verse is
وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان فبأي آلاء
والأرض
وضعها للأنام فبأي فيها فاكهة والنخل ذات الأكمام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
The next verse was والحب
والهب ذو العصف والريحان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين.
Okay, so up to verse 14 is where you've recited. Okay, so then verse 15 خلق الإنسان من صلصال. Do you know that verse?
Yes.
Okay, so verse 15 is خلق الإنسان
خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Okay, Jazakallah. So what I'm going to do is you've just recited to me verses 1 to 19 again. Okay, so well done for learning them. There are a few mistakes that you've made, and I'd just like to highlight them simply because if we don't correct them, you'll continue to make those mistakes. As you're reciting, for example, over here, again, the elongation is not long enough. So when you read this verse, which is verse 8, you would be reading as وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا. Try that.
وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا.
Okay, and sometimes when we're reciting, because we're in such a hurry to read, I think that may have been the case here. So when you read this over here, you read it as قَالْفَخَّرْ. It's قَالْفَخَّارْ, because there's an alif after that. Can you see that?
Yes.
Okay, so do you want to read this verse again quickly?
وخلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار.
Okay, it's really important to get the elongations correct in the correct places. Okay, that's fine. So you've read to me verses 1 to 19, and what I would like you to do is revise them again. While you're reciting them, listen to the online recitation as well. That really helps because it helps you to learn in tune, and it's very useful to get in order for you to get the pronunciation and elongations correctly. Okay, so Jazakallah G3517. Thank you for reading. So can I have another student, please, Jazakallah?
I'm going to call G3513.
G3513. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so have you done your hifz learning from last week?
Yes.
Okay, and I'm going to ask you from recite from verse 19 onwards. Could you do that for me? Let me show you where it starts from. Hold on. Okay, so the trick is not to look. So don't look where you're reciting from. Just if you've learned it off by heart, then you recite onwards from
I've
here.
learned up to 26.
Sorry?
I've learned up to 26.
Okay, brilliant. That's good. Okay, so you'll be reciting to me verses 20 to 26. Okay, so go ahead. Did you want to start with Ta'awuz?
Yeah. أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Okay, G3513, can I just stop you again? If you could go ahead and recite this again. A'udhu billah.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم.
Okay, and now Bismillah.
بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم.
Go ahead. It's مرج البحرين.
البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان. Jazakallah.
Okay, that was verses 20 to 26. Well done, because you've learned them well. Okay, so what I would like to suggest to you is that while you're reciting, be very clear about which letter you are reciting. So while I was listening to you in verse 21, you read Baynahuma barzakhun. This sounded like a ghain to me. It could be just that while you're reciting and it sounds like that on the audio, but be really clear about how you're reciting which letter. So this is a kha. So if you look at verse 21, let me show you. Sorry, 1 second. Let me scoot down. Okay, you can see verse 21 here, and this is what I'm talking about. So this sounded like a ghain, this letter here. If you could read this for me quickly, bar.
برزخ لا يبغيان.
Okay, so there's two issues here. This one here is an elongation for 2 seconds, and in this case you read it correctly. While you were reciting, it sounded like a ghain to me. Okay, do you want to read that again? So remembering this elongation here. Go ahead.
برج البحرين يلتقيان.
Okay, we're going to.
Okay, I will read it once because then you can get a good gist of what I'm trying to explain to you. This here is bar. So you're reading as bara. It's actually bar. Why is it a bar? Because this is a sukoon. And we hold on to it for a second, okay? So this is how you're going to recite this. برزخ لا يبغيان.
برزخ لا يبغيان.
Okay, that's the correct way to recite it. So just be mindful of what you're saying and how you're saying it. So again, you made the same mistake on verse 25 over here. The mistake you made was, let me just quickly check. It was munsha'atu. Over here, how do you pronounce this? Could you read this again from here? Wala.
وله الجوال المنشهدة
Okay, so when you said it,
في البحر كالأعلام.
okay, it's quite confusing sometimes. It's really important to take it slowly. So when you recited it to me, it's an easy mistake to make. This hamza is like a sound like an alif, not an ayn. And while you recited it to me, it sounded like an ayn. And in this case, you will be saying ah, not an ah. That's correct recitation for the ayn, which is here. Lam. But for this is just a plain like an alif. Okay, so let's read this together. Walahul jawa.
وله الجوار
للمنشآت
للمنشآت
في البحر
كالأعلام.
Much better. Okay, do you want to read that once yourself as well? Let's see.
Yeah. وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام.
Okay, so you just have to pay attention to what you're saying. So I think you have a parent in the background and they did correct you. So make sure that the letter that's there is what you recite. And you made this mistake in a few places. The yakhruju in verse 23 was also recited as a yukhruju, which is, let me just quickly find it for you over here. So you put a dhamma above this when this is a fatha. This ya, you sounded as a yuh. So while you're reciting, when you learn, how are you learning? You know, when you learn your hifz, when you're memorizing it, how do you do the hifz?
Listening.
Okay, so what I would like you to do is listen to one verse at a time, and if you need to break the verse down, listen to it in sections, and then repeat it about 5 or 6 times at least. And then when you want to go through the whole verse, just listen to the whole verse together and recite it again. And have your parent check it for you while you're going, because they can see where you're making the mistakes and they'll be able to correct it for you, okay?
Okay.
Jazakallah. Reading. Well done.
Read.
Yes. Is it your brother? Sorry?
It's my sister.
What's her ID?
G3514.
Okay, go ahead, G3514. Assalamu alaikum.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so G3514, you're going to also read from where your brother just read. Yeah, verse 20.
Yeah,
Go ahead.
I've learned 2 more verses.
Okay, go ahead. Let's hear them. So if you start with that was, which is up here, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان وبيق ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام.
Jazakallah, so that was up to verse 28. Well done, that was really good reading. Okay, so just a few minor sort of mistakes here and there. So on verse 20, if we quickly go down, can you see over here, this when you were reciting it, but I think it was Mara. Let me just quickly find it for you. Okay, so this over here, when we're reciting it, sometimes we make some sort of silly mistakes. You read it as as if it had a shadda on it, so you read it as Mara rather than Mara. Just be mindful of those kind of changes that we accidentally make. On another recitation part, this here, how would you read this? If you can read this verse from the beginning for me.
يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان.
Okay, so you did say lu, but to me it sounded like lu. It sounded like you did an elongation there, when actually this is lu. Yeah, you have to be mindful of those things, that they don't sound like an elongation. If it's a lu, it has to be said separately. Do you want to try that one more time? Yakhruju.
يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان.
That's much better. Can you see the difference?
Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah, that was really well read. Okay, and just the last thing, I think lots of students are making exactly the same mistake. And as I said before, this verse is often repeated in this surah, and often this part is not being recited for long enough. So just bear in mind, it has to be quite long. Can you quickly just read that for me?
Yeah. فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Okay, so you can make it slightly longer than that. And to me, you have to know how much 5 seconds is. If you look at your fingers and if you make them into a fist and then you bring one up each finger, and when it gets to 5, that's 5 seconds. You can elongate it slightly longer than that as well. Do you want to try that while you do that with your fingers as well?
Yeah.
Go ahead.
فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان.
Do you think that was long? Did you manage to do all 5 fingers on your hand? Gently?
Yeah.
Okay, so what's happening is you're doing it quite fast. So if you were to do a full stop on a page, that would be 1 second. There are other ways to count it, but it's quite long. It has to be much longer than you think it is, okay? So let me read it for you once. Everybody should be listening, and the next students, please bear this in mind. It has to be quite long. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Okay, can you see the difference between a short elongation and a long elongation? Yes?
Yeah.
Okay, Jazakallah G3514, that was very good reading. Okay, can I have another one?
Yeah, next one is going to be G3504.
G3504, Assalamu alaikum. G3504.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Okay, so where are you going to read from? Verse 7 onwards? Have you recited from 7 onwards?
No.
Have you learned from verse 8, 9 or 10? So, وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا. Have you learned that? Okay, do you want to start with Dawood and Tasniya, and you can then tell me how much you learned? Let me go. Okay, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله
الرحمن الرحيم الرحمن علم القرآن خلق الإنسان علمه البيان الشمس والقمر بحسبان والنجم والشجر يسجدان والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان ألا تطغوا في الميزان أقيموا الوزن وأقيموا الوزن بالقسط ولا تخسروا الميزان
والأرض وضعها. Okay, Jazakallah, G3504, you've learned those verses very well, so well done to you. So that's verses 1 to, I think it's 1 to 10, I'm quite sure it was. Okay, so well done for that learning. I'm just going to quickly take you through the elongations, just the rules that we're concentrating on. So can you tell me, how long do we write these letters for? You know what that is? Above the knee.
Second.
Yeah, well done. So that's an ishbaya, a fatha ishbaya, and that's for 2 seconds. So to me, 2 seconds is ar-Rahman. Okay?
Ar-Rahman.
Okay, and how long do we recite this one for? Do you know? Do you know how long we recite that for?
2 seconds.
Yes, that's right. Okay. So when we come to an elongation, do you know how long this one is for? This one here.
5 to 6.
Okay, well done. So how are you going to figure out how long 5 to 6 seconds is? You can count it on your fingers, but you have to.
Wasama.
Okay, go ahead and try it. 1 second. Let me just undo all of that. Want to try that again?
Wasama. Arafa'aha. Wa waza al-mizan.
Okay, I can see you know the rules really, really well. Okay, and it's just the elongations. So you need to remember that while you're reciting, so when you learn and you're listening, it's good to have the text in front of you as well. You can see what you're learning, and then what you should do is cover the text and listen to it just a few times, and then try to recite it yourself and see if you got the elongations correct. Yes. Okay.
Okay.
Yeah, that was really good learning. So well done, G3504.
Jazakallah.
Jazakallah. Can we have G3560 again? Because we tried to unmute before, but G3560 wasn't available at the time.
G3560.
G3560. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, that's fine. Can we try another student?
Yeah.
Okay, 1 second. Who's unmuted?
Yeah.
Okay, can we have a student?
G3562.
G3562. Assalamu alaikum. Okay, while we don't have a student, I'm just going to quickly go through the rules.
Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullah. Can I just ask your G3562?
Yes.
Okay, that's fine. Let's do your hifz first, and then I'm going to go through the rules quickly once with all of you. Okay, go ahead. So where are you going to read from today?
Sorry, verse number 1.
So we've listened to up to 13 from you anyway. So if you'd like to start from verse 14, it's فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءٍ, and then the next verse is خَلَقَ الْإِنسَانَ, and that's verse 15. Do you want to start from there?
Okay.
Go ahead. So let me just, yeah, okay, go ahead.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان خلق الإنسان من صلصال كالفخار وخلق الجان من مارج من نار فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين رب المشرقين ورب المغربين فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان مرج البحرين يلتقيان بينهما برزخ لا يبغيان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يخرج منهما اللؤلؤ والمرجان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان وله الجوار المنشآت في البحر كالأعلام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان كل من عليها فان ويبقى وجه ربك ذو الجلال والإكرام فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان يسأله ما في السماوات والأرض كل يوم هو في شان فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان
Okay, Jazakallah, can I just stop you there a second? Can I ask who else is unmuted? ST, if you could make note.
G3528 keep unmuting himself.
Okay, if you could just make note of the number,
Okay.
that's fine. Jazakallah. Please, students, obviously this is a class of the Holy Quran, and the due dignity and decorum that is due in this class means that you don't unmute yourself, and don't unmute until we ask you to, and please don't make any noises as well. Jazakallah. Okay, so G3562, where were you up to when you were just reading? I think you read verse 30 maybe?
I was on verse 30.
Yeah, okay. So do you want to continue?
Okay.
So the next verse is فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ
فبأي آلاء ربكما تكذبان
سَنَفْرُغُ
سنفرغ
لَكُمْ.
لكم.
If you haven't learned it, that's fine, because this is the one that we've introduced today. That's fine. So let's say you've done up to verses 31. That's fine. Okay. There are some instances where you're reciting, and so for example, when we recite this, how do you read that? If you could try this verse here.
خلق الإنسان.
Okay, so when you recited that to me, you read it correct. In some cases, I've noticed that you were reciting this as qalla, qala, or not. Sometimes there's a jerk with it. So you read it in verse 23 as well. Wal marajan. It was read as wal marajan. So be careful not to make a jerk sound after it. In this instance, you read it correctly. So well done for that. The issue one I corrected previously. I hope you can still hear me.
Why can you not do that?
Okay, so this elongation here, can you read it for me from here onwards?
والسماء.
Okay, read the whole verse, but ensure that this is very long. Go ahead.
والسماء رفعها ووضع الميزان.
Okay, so when you're reciting, try not to join the letters. These sounded like they were joined, all three of these.
It sounded like they were joined. This elongation was correct. If you just remember that while you're reciting it to me. So when the verse comes up, فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ, it has to be quite long, okay? Just remember that. Other than that, most of your recitation was very, very good. So well done for reciting today. Jazakallah G3562.
Allah Hafiz.
Jazakallah, okay. Can I have another student to the mic, please?
Yes, G3564.
G3564, Assalamu alaikum. Okay, so we've just come to, it's now 10:02, and what I would like to do, I'm just going to quickly run through some of the general mistakes that students are making. Just 1 second. Okay, so while we're reciting, it's just important to ensure that we recite correctly. The elongations are probably the thing that everybody is getting quite mixed up about in terms of how long we should be reading them for. So I'm just going to go through some of the elongations. So this verse here is وَالسَّمَاءَ. So rather than وَالسَّمَاءَ, it's quite long. So وَالسَّمَاءَ رَفَعَهَا وَوَضَعَ الْمِيزَانَ. So you can see there's quite a few elongations in this verse, but they have to be recited correctly. So in this case, this is quite a long elongation. This is only 2 seconds. This is 2 seconds, and this is 2 seconds as well. In the main verse, which everybody's struggling with in terms of elongation, this here, I'll recite it to you. فَبِأَيِّ آلَاءِ رَبِّكُمَا تُكَذِّبَانِ. Okay, so hopefully that's clear for you students for today. And inshallah, while you're learning, please just bear in mind that you are reciting it for long enough. And it's really important to listen online. So, okay, Jazakallah, we're nearing the end of our lesson today. Just on to homework quickly. So the lesson that we introduced, the verses that we introduced today are Surah Ar-Rahman, which is 32 to 33. And that is those are the verses you have to memorize for today. You also need to revise the previous verses, which are verses 1 to 31. There will be no knowledge quest for today. Just a quick reminder, Surah Ar-Rahman means the gracious God. Chapter 55, located in part 27. There are three rukus comprised of 79 verses, and this surah was revealed in Mecca. Okay, can I have a student for the ending prayer, please?
I'm going to call G3523.
G3523. Assalamu alaikum.
Wa alaikum assalam.
Okay, would you like to go ahead with the dua?
Shall I start with the A'uz?
Yes, you can start if you want. I can put it on screen. Go ahead.
A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Allahumma arhamni bil Qur'anil azim. Oh Allah, have
1
mercy.
second. Can we read the rest of the dua first? Go ahead.
Waj'alhu li imama wa nuran wa huwa
Hudawa
hudan wa
rahmah.
rahmah.
Okay, go ahead and read the translation. Go ahead.
Oh Allah, have mercy on me through the great Quran and make it for me the leader, the light, and guidance and the mercy.
Okay, Jazakallah. I'd just like to make quick corrections. So remember, elongations are quite important. Allahumma arhamni bil Qur'anil azim. Waj'alhu li imaman wa nuran wa hudan wa rahmah. Okay, so it's really important to do the correct elongations. Okay, Jazakallah G3523 for that, and Jazakallah to you all for joining our class today. That's the end of our class, and inshallah we hope to see you tomorrow. Jazakallah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.